What's up guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 2 of my ovarian cyst story. I will be updating this video as the days go on and I have more and more information, but currently the information that I have, last video that I did, if you missed part 1, go watch that first. The first video that I did, I left it as I had just seen the OBGYN for a follow-up. They redid my sonogram and they also did an OVA1 blood test on me to check for cancer again. Since I tested high on the CA125. They wanted to do the OVA1 test because it's more accurate, I guess, and it would be a better depiction of if this is something I actually should be genuinely concerned about or not. So at that point, the doctor had said that I would get my results back in a week, and the girl who actually did my blood work said that I would get the results back in a week or two. So I wasn't expecting to hear anything for a little while. Well, fast forward to Wednesday, November 10th, I get a phone call from my OBGYN, and I thought that was a little concerning because that was really fast. She said, "Hi, how are you doing? Do you have a minute to talk?" And I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Well, I got your test results back from the OVA1 and I just wanted to discuss it with you." And immediately when she said that, I'm like, okay, well, this isn't good because she's calling me within a couple of days, and why is she like being so slow to actually tell me? But anyway, she says, unfortunately, we got your test results back and your levels were high. You scored a 9.4. And I asked her, like, what does that mean? So I guess it's like a 10-point scale. I scored a 9.4 and I'm supposed to score below a 5 for being premenopausal. She said, unfortunately, we are going to have to send you out to a gynecologic oncologist to evaluate the situation and see what they want to do. So in my mind right now, my OBGYN had told me that if I did test bad on the OVA1, that I'd be referred out to probably get the whole ovary removed. So in my mind right now, that's what I'm thinking that's going to have to happen, but I'm not sure. So at that point, she had said, we will try to find somebody in your network that you can see where you can get in soonest, and we'll give you a call back in the next day or two. So yesterday comes, nothing. Today comes, it's 4 o'clock, nothing. So I was like, well, I don't want to go through this whole weekend because Monday and Tuesday are such busy work days for me. It would be very difficult for me to call anywhere and I would just be playing phone tag the whole time anyways. I don't want to keep waiting. Obviously, I want to get this done as soon as possible. Anybody would. So I call them myself. So I speak to this woman on the phone. She straight up said, I have no idea about anything on this case and I haven't even reviewed your case yet. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so like when were you supposed to call me then? Because like it's already been 2 days. And she said, I'm not sure who told you that, you know, we'd call you back in a day or two, but she said, since you called, I will look into your case right now for you. Hopefully we'll have an answer for you by Monday afternoon. Whatever, the sooner the better. And she had asked me if I would be willing to travel to see an oncologist, and I said yes. And I told her that, you know, it'd be nice to be closer to home, but honestly, wherever I can get in sooner, that's fine. She called me back like an hour later and she was much nicer this time, but she had said that she got a hold of another hospital and they are looking at my records. She just sent everything over there and they will call me on Monday. I don't know if they're already scheduling the appointment or if I'm going to schedule it with them. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but the way she made it sound was that I would be able to hopefully get seen within the next 2 weeks. So right now, that's the current update. As far as symptoms go, I'm not sure if my pain is going down or I'm just so used to being in pain that I don't even really like notice it anymore. What I am noticing is that like the sharp bad pain doesn't come very often. It's just the very consistent level 4 pain, as I would rate it. It's not bothering me when I eat. It's not bothering me as much when I put pressure on it. What is bothering me though is that I'm having a lot of like swelling and bloat. I took a video of what my stomach looks like on the left side versus on the right when I'm turned sideways, and I'll insert it so that you guys can see how it looks. But you can clearly tell that the right side is definitely a lot more bloated and puffed out than the left side. I also feel like it's not like a lump, but it feels like harder. My skin feels harder on the right side, and you can tell that it's puffed out even from looking down. I can tell that my stomach is so much more puffed out on the right side than the left. As far as pain goes, it feels like when you're running and your side starts to hurt, it kind of feels like that, kind of like it's like pulling, being stretched apart a little bit. I've also been having back pain on that side, on the right side, from like the top of my butt cheek to like the middle of my back. So yeah, that is my current symptoms, current update, and now I guess I will just wait again for a phone call and we'll go from there. Okay, so it's now the 26th of November. I did see see the gynecologic oncologist on the 24th, and I just wanted to take a few days to kind of process everything that was said and everything that's happening. He was very nice. We were both very impressed with him. My husband came with me to the appointment, and he was just very much trying to keep us as involved and as informed on what was going to be happening and what could happen as he possibly could, which I really appreciate that, because yes, you are the expert, you're the doctor, but at the end of the day, it's the patient's life that's changing. So I think it's really important that they're also included on everything in the decision as well. The first thing that he asked me is if I have children or if I would like to have children. I mean, these are my children. Obviously, I did not birth them, and I don't know if I want to have children. I mean, some days I say maybe, some days I say no, but like I told him, I at least would like the option to have a child if we chose to do that. And basically he said, we have two options. We could either just watch it and see what happens, which he doesn't recommend, or we could go in and do surgery, which is what he recommended. And he said if I already had children and was done having children, or if I did not want to have children and I was absolutely positive on that, then he would probably just go in and take everything out just to be safe. But because I want at least the option to have a child, we're going to hopefully just take out the whole right ovary. So he scheduled me for surgery to have done on December 28th, and the day before is kind of like a little colonoscopy prep, because they want to have as much space as possible when they're working in there. He said that an ovary is about the size of an almond, and my cyst on top of it is about the size of an orange. I'm gonna have a laparoscopic surgery done. So basically he said they're going to do an incision up here above my belly button, and then they're going to do two smaller ones over here on the sides, and hopefully that's it. I asked if he could do like below my belly button, but he said it's harder to see when you go below the belly button, so it's better visually for him to do it above. And I said, well, if you do it below, could you just like suck out some of the fat while you're in there? He said no, but at least I tried. So basically that was what we decided on. He thinks that if it's not cancer, it's endometriosis, but obviously he's not really going to know exactly what's going on until he gets in there. So the idea is to go in, like I said, remove the right ovary. Once he looks at it under a microscope, he should be able to know that day if it is cancer or not, and how spread it is if it is cancer. He said if it is, then he might have to remove some lymph nodes as well. In worst case scenario, he would have to remove the left ovary as well. But like I said, we're going to try to preserve the left ovary just in case. Hopefully. He said that if I did want to have a child and we were able to save the left ovary, then it wouldn't affect my chances of getting pregnant with just having one ovary. However, if something ever happened to that left ovary, I'm screwed. I know, it's a lot to think about, it's a lot to take in, and I feel like it feels like such a huge slap in the face for all the times in my life that I said I didn't think I wanted to have children. Like, I never was 100% no, but I feel like for a lot of my life, I didn't really want to have a child, but the thought of not even having the option is devastating. Hopefully I'll be discharged the same day. If not, I'll have to stay one night in the hospital, but recovery said it'll be about 2 weeks before I can really go back to work and start feeling like myself. And I'll make a whole separate video on the surgery, start to finish, so that that's more informative to anybody who has to, you know, potentially go through that or is just curious. But yeah, I don't know, the thing that's scariest to me is just the thought of knowing that I could potentially wake up from surgery and he either says, A, you have cancer, or B, you can't have a child. That's a lot. And if it is cancer and if it is progressed, then I will have to go through chemo and radiation, but hopefully it's not, and if it is, hopefully it's just encapsulated to the ovary and just removing the whole ovary will take care of it, and that, you know, it's in the very early stages and we're catching it super early, and then, you know, hopefully everything will be fine after that. But I do have some familial history. If you have any familial history of people who have either ovarian cancer or breast cancer in your family, then that obviously increases your risk, and I have familial history for all three cancers, unfortunately. So I guess we'll see. Obviously not the results that I wanted to hear, but kind of the results, if you watch the first part, that I was expecting to hear. He said he does like 500 surgeries a year, and he has a daughter who's just a year younger than me. She's 27. So he said he will just treat me like his daughter, and if we have questions or concerns or whatever, then we have his cell number and we're free to call him whenever we want to. Before surgery, I do have to redo my CA-125 blood work, and I also have to redo my sonograms. So I am just keeping my original sonogram appointment on December 17th that I originally had made, and wouldn't have even known all this at all if I would have not done anything sooner. And then for my blood work, I'm going to go in after my period, so that way my period doesn't affect my levels or anything, and it's a more, in my opinion, accurate reading of what's actually going to be going on. So yeah, that's the current update. Just hope and pray for the best. Hopefully it's nothing and I don't have to worry about it and it'll all go away. But as far as symptoms wise, the bad pains that I was having before have really diminished at this point. I still feel a lot of pain every time I eat, but I feel like it doesn't happen quite as often as what it was happening before, which is great. It just feels like I did a barium swallow once, and the metally feeling, taste, I don't know, grossness that it feels in your stomach. It's like painful, but it's hard to describe. That's how my stomach feels. My whole stomach feels every time I'm done eating. And I know a lot of it's because the bigger my stomach is and gets full, or the bigger my bladder is and gets full, and whatever else is around there, my cyst has less space. And I know where the pain is coming from. But I've also been having a lot of pain on the right side in my back. That's been pretty consistent ever since. So when I have my sonograms, I'm also having one of my kidneys, so that'll be good just to make sure that nothing back there is being affected by anything. So yeah, I'll keep you updated, and I would appreciate any good thoughts and prayers that you could send my way, and I will update you with more information when I have it. So it is now Friday, December 17th, and I have done my blood work. I have done my ultrasounds that I was told to do prior to surgery. So here's the update. Last Friday, I did my blood work. I had a complete metabolic panel, a CBC, and a redo of my CA-125. For the most part, everything came back normal. White blood cell count was a little elevated, but nothing that was super concerning. My CA-125, I scored a 47, which is much better than the 96 that I had scored the first time. Still not below a 35, but I'll take that as improvement. Fast forward to today, I go in for my 3 sonograms. The 3 sonograms that I had scheduled 2.5 months ago, before I found out that any of this was even going on. This was the first available that I could get in. And since I needed to redo my sonograms before surgery anyways, I just kept the same appointment. So I go in for my ultrasounds, and I'm there for about an hour and a half. I have 3 different tests that I needed to have done, and she cannot find the cyst on my right ovary. She can find the ovary, but she's not finding the cyst. She looked and looked and looked, and we tried it a couple different ways. She said either I'm just really missing this somehow, which I don't feel is possible because it was so large. It's not something that I would just easily miss, or it's gone. So I'm not really sure what's happening. I left a message at the oncologist's office. I left a message for his nurse to see what she thinks, but I'm not really sure what's going to happen now. I did have a lot of pain last Thursday and Friday, and I had pain similar to what that felt like before while having the cyst, so I wasn't super concerned about it. It just usually goes away after a while, and this one was pretty consistent for 2 days, and I was really close to going back to the emergency room just because I remember the emergency room doctor telling me that if I got pain that came on that didn't go away and was really, really bad, to come back to the emergency room immediately. So I thought, you know, it's not fun, it's painful, but I don't feel as if I'm dying. So I'll see what happens tomorrow when I wake up, which would have been Saturday morning, and if it's still bad, I'll go. If not, then whatever. So I woke up Saturday morning and everything was fine, like nothing happened. I just took some Tylenol to get me through, and maybe that was my cyst actually rupturing. The ultrasound technician did say that in her personal opinion, which obviously she's not a doctor, but when she was looking at my old images just to make sure she's looking in the right spot, it does look like a hemorrhagic cyst, which she said you can still get even if you don't ovulate, just is not always as common. But she said it looked like the blood supply was old, like that cyst maybe had been there longer than I was getting symptoms for, but we'll see. So that is, like I said, the current update. I am waiting to hear back from my doctor. I'm not sure if I'm still having surgery, I'm not having surgery, am I like bleeding internally, or is that a good thing? But she said even if this cyst ruptures, she said you might see like a little sac on top of the ovary while it's still like absorbing, and she didn't even see that. I didn't have any discharge or bleeding, nothing, so I'm still not completely convinced that that's what it was, but I guess we'll find out. All right, so final update. This has been like a roller coaster coaster. But I finally was able to talk to my oncologist nurse, and she said that they decided that at this time they're just going to assume that the cyst must have ruptured, and at this point surgery is no longer necessary. She said if I was still having a lot of symptoms, I could still do the surgery, but she said if overall I'm feeling a lot better, she said let's just do a follow-up and postpone the surgery for now. So that is what we decided to do. We are just going to do a follow-up in 3 months with new sonograms, new CA125, and talk about where to go from there. Obviously, if symptoms start to get really bad again, then let them know, but that's the decision that we made. Overall, I feel really comfortable. I mean, if it were a cancerous cyst, it would be less likely that it would rupture. If it were a cancerous cyst and it ruptured, then obviously that wouldn't be a great thing that it's just spreading in the body, but obviously they would be able to tell that based on my next CA125 results. But the way I see it is, you know, they do 500 of these a year, and if they're not super concerned about it now, then I'm gonna trust that and go with that answer, of course. So yeah, now I'm not doing surgery. We're just going to monitor everything and see how it goes, and I am just like really confused, and I mean I'm relieved, but we never even talked about the possibility of it rupturing, so I was not prepared for this at all. But I'm grateful that we discovered this before I got cut open for surgery and lost an organ for potentially no reason. But yeah, that is the update for now. Obviously I'm not going to be filming the surgery if I'm not having it. I still hope this was still informative for you guys regardless, just in case you guys ever end up having some sort of scare like I did. But like I said, overall I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm happy that things ended the way that they did. But my emotions like the last month have been so crazy, and this is my like little Christmas miracle, and I am just super happy with the end result. So I guess that's the end of the story. Hopefully forever, but at least definitely for now.